Welcome to HD Coins World. Today, we're diving into one of the most fascinating modern coins you might already have, or wish you had, in your collection, the Montana State Quarter from the United States Mint's 50 State Quarter series. But this isn't just any quarter. Some of these Montana coins have sold for thousands, yes, thousands, of dollars. Stick with me, and I'll show you exactly what makes these quarters so incredibly valuable, how to identify the rare ones, and what top graders like PCGS and NGC are looking for. The Montana Quarter was released in 2007, featuring the date 1889 to honor the year Montana became a state. The reverse of the coin displays a striking image, a bison skull in the foreground with the beautiful Rocky Mountains in the background and the state's motto, Big Sky Country. But here's what most people don't realize. Certain Montana quarters were struck with errors or in extremely high grades that make collectors go wild. So, what exactly should you be looking for? First, let's talk about mint errors. One of the most desirable errors found on the Montana Quarter is the double die, especially doubling on the word Montana or the motto, Big Sky Country. You'll need a magnifier to spot this, but look closely at the edges of the letters. If they appear slightly shadowed or doubled, you could be holding something rare. Another thing to watch for is die cracks, particularly around the bison skull. These cracks look like tiny raised lines that weren't supposed to be there. On some rare Montana quarters, these die cracks almost look like horns extending from the skull. Collectors call these the extra horn errors, and they're big money coins. Now let's move on to coin grading, because grade is everything when it comes to value. Reputable grading services like PCGS, Professional Coin Grading Service, and NGC, Numismatic Guarantee Company, assess everything from surface preservation to luster to strike quality. A Montana quarter that grades MS67 or higher, especially with full strike or satin finish, can fetch a serious premium. If you think you've found a Montana quarter in excellent condition, it's worth sending it in for professional grading. Even the tiniest blemish can make a big difference in value, and only a certified grade will guarantee collectors know what they're getting. So why do collectors pay so much? It's a mix of nostalgia, rarity, and competitive collecting. The 50 State Quarters series was wildly popular, and people want pristine examples from every state. But as time passes, flawless examples with errors or top grades are becoming harder and harder to find, especially for states like Montana, where the design is bold and more prone to striking issues. That's what makes these coins valuable, even today. And now, the part you've been waiting for, auction prices. One rare Montana State Quarter with a dramatic double die error and graded MS67 by PCGS recently sold for $3,500. Another, with a perfect satin finish and pristine surfaces, went for over $6,800 at auction. And believe it or not, an ultra-rare specimen with both an error and high grade once shocked the coin world by selling for a whopping $68,000. So check your change. Look through those quarter rolls. You never know, you might already be holding a Montana treasure worth more than you ever imagined. If you've found one of these coins or have a story about rare state quarters, drop a comment below. I'd love to hear about it. And as always, thanks a lot for watching. This is HD Coins World, where pocket change turns into real treasure. Number 2. Today we're turning our attention to a quarter that represents the pioneering spirit of the American West. The Nebraska State Quarter, marked with the year 1867, honoring the state's founding. It might seem like just another piece of the 50 State Quarters series released by the U.S. Mint, but don't be fooled. Some versions of this coin are worth thousands. So why are collectors paying big money for a 25-cent piece? Stick around, and I'll show you exactly what makes certain Nebraska quarters incredibly valuable, and how you might just have one hiding in your collection. Released in 2006, the Nebraska Quarter features an iconic scene from the historic Oregon Trail, complete with a covered wagon, a team of oxen, and the towering Chimney Rock landmark in the background. It's a powerful image of America's westward expansion, and it struck a chord with both collectors and historians. But when it comes to value, it's not just about symbolism, it's about condition, rarity, and errors. Let's start with what to look for. The most basic rule of rare coins. Condition matters. And when we say condition, we're talking about mint state quality, coins with no wear, brilliant luster, and sharp details. Reputable grading companies like PCGS, Professional Coin Grading Service, and NGC, Numismatic Guarantee Company, specialize in this. They assign grades on a 70-point scale, and the highest prices always go to coins in MS67, MS68, or even the extremely rare MS69 range. So, pull out your magnifier and check the details. Look closely at the rays of the sun above Chimney Rock. Are they sharp and well-defined? Examine the lettering for any signs of doubling, especially in the words Nebraska, 1867, or E pluribus unum. This kind of doubling is not always dramatic, it can be subtle. But if you spot it, you may be holding a double die error, which collectors absolutely love. Another rare and valuable feature is a struck-through error, where foreign material like grease or fibers got between the die and planchet during minting, creating an unusual texture or missing design element. These are hard to find but can add huge value, especially when authenticated by PCGS or NGC. And don't forget off-center strikes or die cracks. These are mint mistakes where the design isn't perfectly placed or a break in the die causes raised lines or strange shapes on the coin. An off-center Nebraska quarter that still shows a full date can be a real gem. But here's where things really get exciting. The auction block, 2016 Nebraska quarter, graded MS68 by PCGS, with nearly flawless surfaces and blazing luster, sold at auction for $3,760. That's right, almost $4,000 for a modern state quarter. A specimen strike Nebraska quarter with a special satin finish, graded SP69 by NGC, fetched a stunning $6,000. These satin coins were only included in special mint sets, and finding one in such high grade is incredibly rare, and the highest known sale, an ultra-rare Nebraska quarter with a dramatic double die error, graded MS68 by PCGS, shocked the collecting world by selling for an astonishing $21,150. That's over $21,000 for a 2006 coin, so if you think state quarters can't be valuable, think again. Check your change. Search your old rolls. The next Nebraska state quarter you find could be worth a fortune. If you've found one of these rare coins, or think you might have something special, drop a comment below and tell us all about it. Number 3. Today, we're diving into one of the most iconic coins from the U.S. Mint's 50 State Quarters program, the Connecticut State Quarter, featuring the legendary charter oak and marked with the year 1788, the year Connecticut became the 5th state in the Union. Released in 1999, this quarter may seem common at first glance, but hidden among the millions are a few extraordinary pieces that have sold for tens of thousands of dollars at auction. If you're a coin collector, or just someone who checks their change, you'll want to pay close attention. The Connecticut quarter is one of the most beautifully detailed designs in the entire series. That massive oak tree on the reverse isn't just artistic, it represents resistance, freedom, and American history. But here's the thing, not all Connecticut quarters are created equal. The truly valuable ones have unique characteristics, and if you know what to look for, you could strike gold. First, let's talk about grading. Top-tier coins are evaluated and certified by professional services like PCGS, that's the Professional Coin Grading Service, and NGC, or Numismatic Guarantee Company. These experts judge coins on a 70-point scale, and anything in the MS68 or MS69 range is considered a gem. Coins that achieve these grades must be flawless to the naked eye, with sharp details, full luster, and no contact marks. If you have a quarter that looks perfect, it's worth sending it in for grading. Now, let's go over what to look for in a rare Connecticut quarter. Start with the details on the charter oak. Check the fine branches and leaf lines for any signs of doubling. A double die error, especially visible in the lettering like Connecticut or 1788, can dramatically increase the coin's value. Look at the word Liberty on the obverse as well. Sometimes it will appear shadowed or slightly off, which can signal a striking anomaly. Also watch for off-center strikes, where the image is noticeably shifted away from the center of the coin. These errors are dramatic and easy to spot. Even a 10% off-center strike can be worth a lot if the date is still visible. Then, there are the extremely rare proof-like strikes, coins that were unintentionally minted with a mirror-like finish. If your coin has a glassy surface and deeply frosted details, that could be a sign of an accidental proof strike from a business strike die, which collectors absolutely love. There are also struck-through errors, where a piece of cloth, grease, or even wire interfered during the minting process, leaving a noticeable void or imprint on the coin. These are uncommon, but when authenticated, they command big premiums. And now, the moment you've been waiting for: the highest known auction prices for the Connecticut State Quarter, a standard 1999 Connecticut quarter graded MS68 by PCGS, with perfect eye appeal and pristine surfaces, sold for $2,880. Then, a Denver minted Connecticut quarter, also in MS68 condition, was auctioned for a solid $3,760 due to its high grade and rarity. But here's where it gets incredible: a Connecticut State quarter, with a rare mint error, a dramatic off-center strike combined with doubling, graded MS68 by PCGS, shocked the numismatic world when it sold for an eye-popping $52,875 at a major auction event. That's right, over $52,000 for a 25-cent coin. So yes, that Connecticut quarter in your pocket could be worth far more than face value, if you know what to look for. Have you found a strange or perfect-looking Connecticut quarter? Or maybe you've come across another rare state quarter in your collection? Drop a comment below. We'd love to hear about it and help you figure out what you might have. Number 4. Imagine flipping through your loose change and spotting something you've seen 100 times: a regular U.S. quarter. But what if that quarter wasn't so regular after all? What if that tiny coin, featuring the island of Guam, was hiding a rare mistake, and could be worth tens of thousands of dollars? Let's take a closer look at the 2009 Guam quarter, a part of the U.S. Mint's Special Territories Quarter Program. While most of these quarters were struck by the millions, only a tiny handful contain rare traits that drive collectors wild, and prices through the roof. Now, the Guam quarter design is striking. It features a stylized map of the island, a traditional sailing canoe called a prow, and a latte stone, those ancient stone pillars used in Guam's architecture. It's a beautiful tribute to Chamorro heritage, and for many, that's enough. But for serious collectors? It's all about condition, errors, and minting quirks. Grading is key. Coins aren't just shiny or worn, they're judged on a precise scale by top services like PCGS and NGC. The closer a coin gets to the top grade of Mint State 70, the more valuable it becomes. But even an MS67 or MS68 can be a serious find, especially when we're talking about modern quarters. So what makes a Guam quarter rare? Let's talk specifics. Start by checking for die errors. These can show up as small blobs or bumps of metal near key design areas. Look around the island map or the canoe. These are known as die chips, and when they occur in eye-catching spots, collectors love them. Next, look for doubled dies, where parts of the design or text appear shadowed or doubled. The best places to check are E pluribus unum, the word Guam, or even the date itself. Use a magnifying glass. If you spot clean, clear doubling, submit that coin for grading. You could be holding something truly special. Another trait that can boost value is an off-center strike. If the design is visibly shifted away from the center but the full date remains intact, that can mean serious value, especially if it's a high-grade piece. Then there are the struck-through errors, where a piece of cloth, grease, or even string gets caught between the die and the blank coin. The result? A weird, one-of-a-kind mark that turns an ordinary quarter into a collector's target. And here's one more thing: satin-finished Guam quarters. These were never released for circulation, only in special U.S. Mint collector sets. If you spot one of these in near-perfect condition, and it grades SP69 or SP70, you're looking at a coin that only a handful of collectors might own. So what does all of this mean in the real world? Let's get to the numbers. One 2009 D Guam quarter, graded MS68 by PCGS, reached $4,320 at auction due to its flawless strike and brilliant luster. Another Guam quarter with a major struck-through grease error, authenticated by NGC, shocked collectors when it sold for $7,500. But the biggest sale? A stunning off-center 2009 P Guam quarter, showing both a significant strike misalignment and bold reverse doubling, graded MS68, sold for a jaw-dropping $58,750 at auction. One coin. One collector. One huge payout. Got a Guam quarter in your collection? Or maybe found one in pocket change? Drop a comment below and tell us what you've got. We'd love to hear from you and help figure out if you're sitting on a potential fortune. Thanks a lot for watching. This is HD Coins World, where everyday coins can lead to extraordinary discoveries. Number 5. Let's take a journey down to the deep south, where history, heritage, and rare coins collide, right on the face of a Louisiana state quarter. At first glance, it looks like just another piece of pocket change, but don't be fooled. Some of these quarters are hiding serious value, and collectors are paying big money to get their hands on them. The Louisiana State Quarter was released in 2002 as part of the U.S. Mint's 50 State Quarters program. It proudly features an outline of the state, a pelican, a trumpet with musical notes, and the words, Louisiana Purchase. This design celebrates the rich cultural legacy of the state, jazz, history, and Creole heritage, all wrapped into a small but powerful symbol of American identity. Now here's where things get interesting. While millions of these coins were minted at both the Philadelphia and Denver mints, not all Louisiana quarters are created equal. Some carry hidden traits that make them rare and incredibly valuable. To understand what sets these coins apart, let's talk about grading. Professional grading services like PCGS and NGC evaluate coins based on strike quality, surface preservation, luster, and overall eye appeal. Grades range from circulated conditions all the way up to mint state 70, an absolutely perfect coin with no flaws. Even under magnification, a Louisiana quarter graded MS 67 or higher is already a solid find. But when that same coin also features a mint error, the value skyrockets. So what should you be looking for? Start with doubling. Look closely at the date, the words, Louisiana Purchase, or the musical notes. If you see slight ghosting or shadows behind the letters or images, that might be a doubled die. Clear doubling that's visible without strain is highly sought after. Next, skin for die chips, small blobs of extra metal where the coin wasn't struck cleanly. These often show up around the pelican's beak, the trumpet's valves, or even near the state outline. While minor chips are common, large or unusual ones can command higher prices. Another rare feature is an off-center strike. If the design is shifted away from the center of the coin, but the date remains visible, that's considered a valuable minting error. The more off-center the strike, the more a collector may be willing to pay, especially if the coin is in pristine condition. Also watch for satin finish coins, which came only in special mint sets. These have a distinct texture and reflect light differently. If one of these is still sealed or has a grade like SP69 or SP70, it could be a standout in any collection. Even coins struck on the wrong planchet, say, a quarter design on a dime-sized blank, can slip through and become major auction highlights. These dramatic errors are incredibly rare and always generate attention when discovered. Now let's get to the exciting part, what these coins have actually sold for at auction. One pristine 2002 Louisiana quarter, struck in Denver and graded MS 68 by PCGS, fetched a solid $7,600 at a major coin auction. Another example. This one with a dramatic off-center strike and sharp reverse detail, authenticated by NGC, crossed the block at over $10,000. But the biggest shock came with a Louisiana state quarter struck on the wrong planchet, a one-of-a-kind mint error graded by PCGS. It sold for a breathtaking $64,500. Yes, you heard that right. One tiny quarter, over $64,000, so check your change. Look closely. That Louisiana quarter might not just celebrate history. It could become a part of yours. If you found one or think you might have something special, leave a comment and tell us about it. We'd love to hear your story and help you figure out if you're holding something rare. Number 6. Let's talk about a coin that carries not just monetary value, but the legacy of American independence, the New Jersey State Quarter. Released in 1999, this quarter honors the historic year 1787, when New Jersey became the third state to ratify the Constitution. But what most people don't know is that hidden among these state quarters are rare varieties and minting errors that collectors are willing to pay big money for. The design is unforgettable. It features General George Washington crossing the Delaware River, a powerful tribute to New Jersey's role in the Revolutionary War. The scene is packed with detail: the boats, the icy waters, the determination etched into every figure. But beneath this patriotic image lies a secret. Not all of these coins were struck perfectly. That's where the hunt begins. Millions of New Jersey quarters were minted in Philadelphia and Denver, but only a handful are considered true rarities. What separates a regular quarter from one worth thousands? It all starts with condition and grade. Professional grading services like PCGS and NGC evaluate coins on a 70-point scale. A mint state 60 might be uncirculated, but an MS 67 or MS 68? That's where you start to see big value. A coin with razor-sharp details, full luster, and no visible scratches under magnification can be a real prize for collectors. But the real stars are those with errors or unique traits. Let's talk doubling. If you look closely at the text, like Crossroads of the Revolution, or the date, using a magnifying glass, you might spot doubling in the letters. This is called a double die. If the doubling is bold and clear, that coin could be far more than just pocket change. Next, keep an eye out for die cracks, thin raised lines that look like veins running across the coin. They happen when the minting die starts to fracture. Some of the most valuable New Jersey quarters have dramatic die cracks that collectors love. Another thing to look for is off-center strikes. If the design is noticeably shifted to one side, especially if the date is still fully visible, you're looking at a premium error. The more off-center it is, the rarer it gets. Also worth noting are struck-through errors, when debris like grease or even fabric gets between the die and the planchet, creating a ghostly, one-of-a-kind image. These aren't common, and when found in high grades, they can command serious auction prices. And don't forget satin finish versions. These were only issued in special mint sets and have a softer, textured surface. If one of these is graded SP69 or SP70, it can fetch a high price on its rarity alone. But the crown jewel is a New Jersey quarter struck on the wrong planchet, like a dime planchet. These ultra-rare mint errors get certified and labeled by PCGS or NGC and are often the stars of coin shows and auctions. So, how much are these coins actually selling for? One pristine New Jersey quarter from the Philadelphia Mint, graded MS 68 by PCGS, sold at auction for $6,700. A rare off-center strike with strong visual appeal, certified by NGC. Stunned collectors when it brought in over $11,200. But the most impressive of all was a New Jersey quarter struck on a nickel planchet, graded by PCGS and confirmed as a major mint error. That coin brought a record-breaking $62,500 at public auction, so go ahead, check your quarters. You might be holding a rare piece of American history without even knowing it. If you have one or think you've found a rare coin, drop a comment below and let us know. We'd love to help you figure out if your change could change your life. Number 7. Today, let's take a journey into the heart of American history, through a coin that celebrates one of the most iconic states in the nation, the New York State Quarter. Released in 2001 as part of the 50 State Quarters program, this coin commemorates the year 1788, when New York ratified the U.S. Constitution and became the 11th state. But beyond its patriotic design and historical pride, this quarter holds secrets that collectors dream of finding. At first glance, the design is striking. The quarter features the Statue of Liberty, a powerful global symbol of freedom, set against a detailed outline of the state of New York. Lines trail across the coin, representing the gateway to freedom through Ellis Island. And inscribed are the words, "Gateway to Freedom," a tribute to millions of immigrants who arrived in America through New York's harbors. But even more valuable than its design are the rare versions of this coin that have made headlines at auctions. Now here's where the story gets interesting. The U.S. Mint produced hundreds of millions of New York quarters at both the Philadelphia and Denver facilities. But only a small percentage are considered true treasures. What makes them so special? It starts with condition. Grading services like PCGS and NGC evaluate coins on a scale from 1 to 70. An uncirculated coin with deep original luster and no visible marks can score a high mint state grade, MS 67 or even MS 68. Coins at this level don't just look great, they command serious attention from collectors and investors alike. But there's more to it than grade alone. What really excites collectors are errors and varieties. Let's explore what you should be looking for. First, doubled dies. This error occurs when the coin die imprints a slightly shifted image more than once. It can show up in the lettering like New York, 1788, or Gateway to Freedom. If you use a magnifier and notice clear doubling, especially around the date or statue, you might have something extremely valuable. Next, look for off-center strikes. These happen when the planchet, the blank coin, is not properly aligned during minting. The result is a partial image, sometimes with the date shifted or clipped. A dramatic off-center error with the date still visible is highly desirable. Also worth checking for are die breaks or cracks, raised lines running across the coin's surface due to a damaged die. Some of the most collectible pieces show large cracks near the state outline or through the Statue of Liberty's torch. Struck through errors are another rare find. That's when something like grease or fiber gets between the die and the blank coin, leaving ghostly or missing details. These coins are one of a kind and, when graded, often generate fierce bidding wars. There are also coins that were struck on the wrong planchet, such as a New York quarter struck on a penny or dime blank. These are incredibly rare, and reputable grading services like PCGS and NGC will identify and authenticate these minting mistakes, marking them as major errors. And don't forget about satin finish quarters from the U.S. Mint's special collector sets. These have a soft, matte-like surface and, if preserved in top condition, are especially appealing to high-end collectors. So, how much can these rare New York State quarters be worth? Let's break it down. A brilliant New York quarter graded MS-68 by PCGS sold at auction for $5,800, an off-center error with over 50% of the design missing, certified by NGC. Recently went for $9,400, and a jaw-dropping discovery, a New York quarter, struck on a dime planchet and graded by PCGS, stunned collectors when it sold for an incredible $64,000 at auction. So next time you sort through your change, don't overlook the state quarters. The New York quarter, in particular, holds a surprising amount of hidden potential, and with a sharp eye, you just might discover a small treasure with a big story. If you have one or think you've found a rare coin, drop a comment below and tell us about it. We'd love to hear what you've got.